Grumble, grumble.
All right, so Grumpy Meatball coming back at you. It's been a little while. Been a little while since we covered something that was not Shadows of Brimstone related. So today we're going to take a look at the Marvel Zombies core box. I got this through the Kickstarter, which I backed through my local retailer rather than backing it on Kickstarter. And I got this a couple months ago and I just haven't done anything with it. It may have even been longer than that. I don't fucking know. But I love Marvel. I love Marvel Zombies in particular. I love the concept of the campaign that was run. And I think that the value is there in terms of what you're getting in that campaign. All that said, I have done a fair amount of shitting on this game and CMON in general over the last couple years. And that's for a couple reasons. So, first of all, I do think this was overpriced. The all-in is going to end up costing me just under $700. That includes the plastic token pack and tax. And that's without shipping. I don't even know what it would have cost to get this shipped to me. I checked the Pledge Manager when it was live for shipping just the Resistance Pledge, I believe it was called, which comes with Marvel Zombies and X-Men Resistance and then the stretch goals, so nowhere near the all-in. And the shipping on that was over $150. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was close to $200. It was a staggeringly huge cost to ship. And there was no way that I was going to pay that, not even for a game that's kind of in my wheelhouse like this is with the theme and everything. So I'm really grateful that I was able to get it from my local retailer, but a lot of people weren't. And so I gave CMON a ton of shit about the shipping costs of this in various videos. And then the other thing that really annoyed me about the campaign, and I haven't played it yet, so I'm not 100% sure that this is going to play out this way, but in the preview during the Kickstarter, I was noticing a lot of the heroes had abilities that were very similar to existing heroes in the Zombicide universe. To the point where I've often joked that CMON seems to just have like a random scrambler of abilities, basically. So they have their fucking 50 abilities that they've created over the last 10 years. Shit like, you can charge, move 3 spaces without, taking damage or whatever, and then do an attack. And they just have this little database of abilities, and then they just have a button that's a randomizer, and they just click it, and they're like, hey, that's Captain America, because the characters were looking very samey. It's like I was looking at Magneto, and he had like the same abilities as some random asshole in Black Plague, essentially, or at least some of them. And so that really pissed me off too, because I would like to see them put some fucking work into making new games when they put out new games. It's a Zombicide game, but it's not Zombicide, and so it shouldn't be recycled, is my kind of thought process on that. That said, I haven't played the game yet, so I'm not sure if that ended up playing out that way. Maybe they differentiated more during development, and I do love Marvel so much that I was willing to take a risk on this. So that's some background on me and Marvel Zombies. Let's get into actually looking at this thing. First of all, it's a huge box. It's your typical CMON Zombicide box, or maybe even bigger. It's pretty beefy. What do we got here? When the first members of the Avengers joined the ranks of the undead, it became clear how much trouble the world was in. Despite their condition, these heroes retain their full mental faculties. If they can only keep the powerful hunger at bay. So assemble your undead team, build up your appetite, and go change the face of the earth. This is no world of Marvel heroes. This is a world of Marvel zombies. So, yeah, that's the conceit of this box. The core Marvel Zombies box has you playing as the zombies, basically, which is a cool idea. And I'm hoping that it plays out, you know, in a way that's unique from the rest of the Zombicide stuff. And you're fighting the heroes instead of playing as them. So you see here's Captain Zombified Captain Marvel with the Super Skrull head in her hands. You've got Thor getting ready to unleash hell. And, you know, the artwork is amazing. I think a lot of it is straight out of the comic. Certainly the tone and kind of the look of it is very true to the comic, which I do own and have read. I haven't read all of them. My sense was that the original Marvel Zombies was like a fun pulpy adventure, and the rest was just kind of like increasingly shittier cash grabs and, you know, just retelling the same fucking story over and over again. So I didn't really get into all that. Marvel Zombies is a cooperative game where 1 to 6 players control zombified superheroes facing off against S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and living superheroes controlled by the game itself. Goal is to complete mission objectives. I mean, like, what objective would these fuckers have other than consume? Defeat your enemies, and most importantly, satiate your ravenous hunger. Eliminating enemies and devouring bystanders makes you powerful, but the bigger a danger you pose, the more forces are sent out to hunt you. The ever-growing hunger makes you stronger, but if you don't feed, it will consume your mind and body. Awesome. 1 to 6 players, 14 plus, 1 hour. 1 hour my ass, fuck you. And then they list out the components. There's no fucking way this game plays in an hour. I don't know why they do that. Like, do they think we're just retarded? It's gonna take you a minimum of 15 minutes just to set this thing up. I mean, I don't know what they count in that number, but these game companies should just start putting, it should just say a long fucking time. Because that's what it's going to take. All right, let's get that to the side here. Crap. Here's your rule book. Got a summary on the back. Got an index. Very good. Bunch of missions. Let's see, like what kind of shit. The hunger. Alright, what is... Oh, accomplish, devour all bystanders. Find the secret mission bystander, take both red objectives. Okay, so like really basic shit, that's fine. You know, it's filled with your classic zombie side stuff. See the bottom for content guide. Alright. I will do that. It's kind of... Do these characters all come in this set? Is Deadpool one of the primary guys in this? It seems crazy. Free CMON content. They do a good job of putting out missions for this kind of stuff. I don't know if I've seen any for this, but I also haven't been following it. What do we got here? Oh, okay. All right. So looks like the miniatures are numbered, and it's showing you. It is showing you where they go, which is nice. This is a much better way of doing this. I've seen them do it before where they print it on the inside of the box, like at the bottom of the box, and it's like nobody can fucking see that at all. Like, let's not get it twisted. I give CMON a ton of shit. I think a lot of their stuff is highly derivative of the things that came before, and they have as many misses as they have hits. You know, for every Cthulhu Death May Die, there's a fucking, you know, what is that fucking game that's taken like 5 years? They had to like redesign the whole game. I don't fucking remember. The one that Can't remember. It's like Nordic themed. Um, that's right on the Trudvang Legends. I did it. I remember it. You know, for every Black Plague, there's a Trudvang Legends, which is a miserable fucking disaster of a game, from what I understand. Zombicide is cool as a system. It's stale as fuck and needs to change. I'm hopeful, but not expecting that this will be the game that changes it. But hopefully it might mix it up enough to make it worth playing, basically. So here you go. You get your typical Zombicide dashboard. This is something that CMON is really good at, is giving you premium, high-quality character dashboards with their games. And the value that this adds is just tremendous. You know, they're removing potentially, you know, a half dozen tokens from the game by token types, you know, huge pile of cardboard, by giving you a dashboard like this where you're going to contain it's going to help you organize your cards, you're tracking your fucking hit points and your XP or your hunger or whatever that is, and your kind of rage level. It does make it much easier to play, and it's one of the real highlights of CMON game development, as far as I'm concerned, is that they're not afraid to they kind of are on the forefront of giving you these kind of premium play components in the box with the game, you know, not something you have to buy separately. Like, if I could get something like this for Shadows of Brimstone that was made by Flying Frog, not some shitty thing I had to print off of, you know, Etsy or something, I'd go apeshit for it, because the game desperately needs a mechanism to help you kind of order it, but that's never going to happen, and that's one of my complaints about Flying Frog. I have complaints about basically everybody at one time or another. I kind of hate everyone equally. That's kind of my shtick. But it's not a shtick, it's who I am, and if you fucking knew me in real life, you would damn well know that. But anyways, moving on. Let's see here. Let's do the zoom. Let's get the big zoom. Boom, boom. There we go. Look at some miniatures. All right, here we have the Wasp, the zombie wasp. So you can see you've got your textured, you know, kind of artistic bases, which is really cool. Something that CMON, with this campaign, and I don't know, maybe with one or two of their previous Zombicides, I don't have all of them. I don't have the Western themed one yet. They've started doing this, and it's really fucking cool, and it adds a lot of value to the box and to the miniatures, as far as I'm concerned. Because when they're just standing on a plain old base, it just, you know, it's cool, but it's not as cool as it could be. Here's Zombie Hulk. He's just like standing on a giant fucking girder that he's just come crashing down on, and barrels and shit all over the base, and he's just massive, you know, like compared to your normal guy. And a really cool miniature with boils and shit all over his back. There's Zombie Deadpool. Oh, he's got his katana. Again, you've got this awesome base. It's like got like the 3D element. That's really cool. I don't know if he's standing on like a pile of pavers or something, or roof tiles. And he's carrying a head around with him. I wonder whose head that is. I don't know. I'm sure I could figure it out if I looked at some of the artwork. Maybe. Let's just take a quick. Let's see. Can we figure out the head? Oh, you know what? I bet I'll be able to tell on this character card. Yeah. We'll wait for that. Here is Zombie Captain America. The shield looks fucking great. Individual like grooves should be easy to paint for anyone who is a good painter. I am an absolute shit painter, so it would be incredibly hard for me. I always love playing Captain America in video games, and I just love the shield throw. I like shield throwing in general. Like in WoW, I love playing a paladin because he has that shield toss. And Cap is the archetype for that play style, and really, really cool. Here's Iron Man. He's getting ready to unleash the zombified arc reactor. Very neat. And then here is Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's an interesting character. I don't have a lot of experience with her in the books. I'm mostly, and I've said this before, an X fan. And so, you know, I spend many decades reading the various X books and related kind of tie-ins and whatnot. And she's always been much more on the Avengers side, which I kind of had less interest in. I know that the Miss Marvel in the fucking Avengers movies is an annoying, boring fucking, like, they just completely butchered whatever character she has in the comics, I have to imagine. And I despise her in that movie, but I'll give her a chance here. She is super powerful, and you know, she has some interesting ties to the X family because Rogue absorbed Carol Danvers' powers and her psyche at one point, and that's where she got her invulnerability and whatnot. All right, here we've got, oh yeah, okay. So these are bystanders, I assume, which is kind of weird because these are like named characters, and definitely not just bystanders. This is a Wakandan, I believe. I don't know all their names. I haven't watched the movies in a long time, and like I said, I don't typically read Avenger style books. I think this is Sharon Carter. If I got the cards out, I would know all of this, obviously. I have no fucking idea who this is. Generic female, number 1. Who the fuck is that? Maybe I should get the cards. Maybe well, I'll show you the minis and we'll touch base again after the cards are out. This is probably, is that Thunderhead Ross? No idea. Just got a blaster. This is one of the Shield Heavies. Wow, that's a really cool miniature. Hard to imagine him being a threat to Captain Marvel, but I mean, at least they tried. Here's a guy passing a weird fucking baton. No idea what's going on there. This is another heavy, fatty, maybe. And then another weird chick running. No idea what the deal is there. Moving on to the heroes. So this pack does contain all the materials necessary to play these heroes as heroes in X-Men Resistance, and vice versa for the zombie bad guys, which is really cool because you get some really awesome heroes here. You got Spider-Man. Oh, one of these is Aunt May. This is probably Aunt May. Spidey. He's got the webs. He's standing on a sign. Does the sign have wording on it? I can't even tell. I believe it does. Yeah. So blind. The Black Panther. Awesome. Look at him getting ready to pounce from the trees. That's great. That's great that they put a tree there too. That's very thematic. The Sorcerer Supreme. That's a really awesome miniature. So sorry, this is Captain Marvel and this is Miss Marvel, but Captain Marvel was also once Miss Marvel. It's really fucking confusing. But this is Kamala Khan, I think her name is, the current Miss Marvel, although I think she's dead now, but also she's now a mutant. She used to be an Inhuman, I think, or mutated by the Terrigen Mist. Fucking Marvel, man. Like, who the hell knows? Their theology is so jacked. Here's Thor. His helmet's laying on the ground because he's gone fucking buck wild here with the hammer Mjolnir, which looks to have maybe the faintest trace of some of the kind of scroll work on it and whatnot. Wow, that's a really cool miniature. And then here we've got the Scarlet Witch. Another character who's, I don't know, I haven't seen WandaVision, but it didn't seem like, I don't know, they've done some odd stuff with their character. And then these are some regular S.H.I.E.L.D. lackeys. I'm not even going to fuck around with these guys. And to be honest, most of the rest of the miniatures are probably that. Yeah. So that's all the interesting miniatures, and we'll call it there so that this isn't an hour long. These back in here. But a nice little set, self-contained. You know, this is very well packaged. I feel like even easier to kind of use than previous games in the franchise. Yeah. Next up, you know, we can look at the boards, but I don't think there's anything super interesting going on there. Let's get all this shit out. Again, you've got a full functional second insert in here, or I guess insert if you don't count the miniature box, which I feel like is unusual for CMON 2. Typically, once you get past the miniatures box, it would just be kind of an open space with some of these crappy little cardboard kind of holders to deal with the spacing, you know, so that the boards don't slide around. But here you've got an actual insert. You could put the cards in there. I mean, they're gonna slide all over the fucking place, but hey, at least they made the effort. Kind of cool, really. All right. You get 6 boring as fuck dice. They do have chop marks on them, so that's kind of cool. Get some cubes for your characters. Dashboards, you know, tracking your hunger and your health, I believe. Yeah, these dice aren't too bad. I don't really know what else I would want from them. And they are a cool red and black color, which is unusual. Here you've got your character stands. I definitely don't want to throw this that away. Use this. You got your bases for your minis. Another thing that CMON does a really good job of is their bases are really usually fit quite well onto the minis. That's like a pet peeve of mine when you have a game that has bases but they don't snap in sufficiently, and so you pick up the character mini and the base is just sitting there and you have to move it separately. CMON's bases always kind of snap on, to the point where some painters will complain. I think I've heard the King of Average complain about, you know, it'll fuck up the base if you painted it, but I don't give a shit about that because I usually don't. Let's get this open. All right, so you got just the one thing of tokens. This is what I was talking about with those character boards. You can cut down on your token usage, and so here you just have the one sheet of them. I don't think there's any more in here. The rest of these are all boards, which is really nice. Yeah, so tokens just tend to they just contribute to the sprawl of the game and the organizational nightmare of trying to keep it all together. Yeah, so another thing that they started doing with more recent Zombicides that I really like is they started printing some of the what would have been tokens in the past. They just print them onto the board. So here, clearly these have some kind of special effect. And in the past, they would have given you a little token to put there. And the idea was, oh, that way it's flexible. You can make your own, but who the fuck has time to even play all the shit that's in here, much less, house rule your own custom campaigns and shit. So I much prefer that they just print it on there and slow down and speed up the setup time. So you've got some classic. So it looks like this is set in New York City. So you've got some classic kind of New York callbacks. Here's the bodega that I'm assuming Spider-Man likes to go to get, in the movies. He goes and gets his fucking sandwich. Here you've got the Daily Bugle. Interesting. Awfully small, I assume. That's all. That might all be part of the Daily Bugle for all I know. Here you've got a Subway. Cool. What do you got here? Oscorp. Very cool. The Green Goblin's lair. Heroes for Hire. Luke Cage's hangout / business, I think. Pretty sure Luke Cage is the Heroes for Hire guy. Let's see if there's anything specific on here that calls out to him. Not really. Still really cool. Random shit. Oh, here's Avengers Tower. Decimated by the undead plague. What the fuck is that? Is that Ultron? Maybe Ultron, maybe just some random Mark 200 suit. Damage control. I don't even know what damage control is. I've heard the term in the Marvel Universe, but not sure what that is. Post in the comments if you know what damage control is. Here we've got a pizza place. Maybe the very pizza place that Spider-Man worked at. Here you go. The Sanctum Sanctorum. I don't know if that's what they call it. That's what I remember it being called. What do we got here? I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to be. Chinese restaurant. There's a fighting ring. That's cool. Again, this probably connects in a specific way. Oh, and then this is the Hell's Kitchen water bill. So you got the Daredevil's playground here. Cool. And the X-Men ones are even cooler. The ones in the Resistance blocks are amazing because they actually represent the mansion and the kind of surrounding grounds, which is just a really cool idea. All right.
In the meantime, I should zoom back out. Boy, I hope all that shit still got captured.
Didn't. Fuck you guys. Here we go. Now we are going to see these guys. Came up with some unique abilities for our very unique, incredibly powerful, like cosmic level characters here. All right, and
Of course, now we need to zoom back in. All right. It would help if I knew how this stuff worked. So instead of picking up weapons and items like in traditional Zombicide games, I believe in this game, your characters just kind of have a default weapon, and then a devour ability, and you can see that they're all, looks like the devour abilities are all the same, but the weapon abilities are all different. Backside, you've got the really cool, amazing art. So Cap, and they've basically all got the same hit points and everything. Yeah. Cap's got the vibranium shield. Looks like it's got, I'm not sure, is that range? Missile wave. Yeah, I think what we're looking at is range, number of dice, and hit value. So it's got a range of 0 on the vibranium shield, which sucks. He should throw it. Looks like he has a special ability that does that. 2 dice, 3. Yeah, so shield block. That sounds relatively unique. I don't know. I guess it's the same as armor. I don't fucking remember. It's been so long since I played a Zombicide game. Ricochet. Once during your turn, after attacking with Vibranium Shield, perform 1 free Vibranium Shield attack with a range of 0-1. Okay, so that's cool. Gets you that range. Undead Leader. Once per turn, you may have one other zombie hero within range 2 perform 1 free action, then resume your turn. That is definitely straight out of Black Plague. I've seen that ability before, or something so similar that it's no different. You know, which is kind of weird. It's almost kind of weird to hold that against them, because I feel like they were pulling from a lot of comic book tropes to come up with those abilities in the first place. So it's almost like if this had been their first Zombicide game, these characters would all have the same abilities as they do here. And then they would have just rewritten it for Black Plague or, whatever. But having it be the most recent Zombicide, it feels like they're stale. But they're also, like I said, I feel like they were pulling from this pot when they were creating the abilities in the first place. So maybe it's not entirely a fair judgment. All right, Iron Man's got Missile Wave. I have no fucking idea why he doesn't have his Repulsor Blast as his main attack, but whatever, that's fine. Oh, he's standing on the Hulkbuster armor. Oh, that's really cool. Somebody tried to come at him with the Hulkbuster. It's got a range 0-1, 3 dice, hits on 4s. So, Caps rolls less dice, but has a better chance of hitting. Repulsor Blast. After attacking with Missile Wave, you may push all enemies in that zone into an adjacent zone. Okay, well, that's basically just push. We've seen that a million times. After completing evasive maneuvers, after completing any attack that eliminates at least one enemy, you perform 1 free move action, ignoring enemies during that move. That's recycled. Suit Auto Control. While Ravenous, you may perform actions as normal. Okay, so that's interesting. That's unique to him. Here you've got the Wasp with the Wasp's Sting. Range 0-1, 2 dice, 3 on hits. Diminutive size. You may ignore target priority when attacking with either Wasp's Sting or Devour. Oh, okay, so that's cool because she can fly in there. Biosynthetic Wings. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 action to perform a move action, moving up to 3 zones and ignoring enemies. I mean, that's almost the exact same ability that he has, but whatever. Tiny Body Big Meal. Once during your turn, you may perform 1 free Devour action. If you target a trooper, guard, or specialist, they are automatically eliminated. Cool. Here's the Hulk. Smash! Rolls 3 dice, hits on 4s. Strongest one there is. Enemies have -1 toughness against your attacks on a minimum of 1. Unless using Thunderclap, you may re-roll any dice if there is a superhero in your zone. Okay, so he gets fired up when he's faced by a big threat. That makes sense. Thunderclap. When attacking with Smash, you may replace your base die with 1 die for each enemy in the zone before any bonuses, ignoring superheroes for this attack. Okay, so he can Thunderclap a shit ton of generic baddies. And then Hulk Hungry. You may eliminate more than 1 enemy when devouring. Once during your turn, you may become ravenous and perform 1 free devour attack. I don't know a whole lot about the devour mechanic yet, so can't really judge on if that's cool or not. Here's Captain Marvel. Mighty Punches. Rolls 2 dice, hits on 3s. You know, you got a lot of small dice pools here. I would like to see some characters with like 5 dice, but it hits on 5s. You know, something just mix it up. Energy Blast. Each time you attack with Mighty Punches, you may eliminate 1 trooper or specialist in your zone. Okay, that's not very thematic. Well, that doesn't really make sense, but alright. The Danvers Special. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 action to move up to 2 zones, ignoring enemies into a zone containing enemies, then perform 1 free Mighty Punches attack. It's the same fucking ability that's been in Zombicide forever. You know, like, there's a lot of wacky shit they could have done with these characters and their abilities. You know, maybe Captain America and Iron Man are a little kind of constrained by the fact that they're, you know, mostly humanoid and kind of, you know, their power sets are tied into their gear and whatnot. But the Hulk could have done any number of awesome fucking things, like, you know, the Hulk jump, like, you know. Oh, it just seems like a missed opportunity. Danvers Special. Once during your turn, you may spend 1... I already talked about that one. It's boring as fuck. Energy Absorption. Each time you would suffer a wound from enemies, you may instead increase hunger to prevent that wound. Okay. Oh, and here we go. Whose head does he have? I don't know whose fucking head that is. It's somebody's head. Is it Bob? I think it's Bob's head. Bob, Agent of Hydra. Dual Katanas. 0 range, 3 dice, hits on 4s. There are 2 of them. Why are there 3 dice? Once during a turn, you may increase hunger to draw 1 zombie trait. Okay, adapting to the hunger. Merc with half a mouth. Once during your turn, you may select 1 zone within range 1. All enemies in that zone immediately activate and attempt to move into your zone. Okay. That's pretty thematic. He's talking shit. Didn't aim for the head. The first time you would be eliminated, you may instead remain in play with 1 health and cannot be eliminated this round. Then immediately perform 1 free attack action. That's cool. That's unique. Alright, so here's Thor with Mjolnir. So I'm a little confused. They must not use these are their hero cards. They don't use these in this game. This is the card that you use in X-Men Resistance to play as the good guys. He's got Mjolnir doing 2 dice. You've got Deadpool with dual katanas, which is rolling more dice. Mjolnir is equal in power to the Vibranium Shield in this universe, apparently. It's like a missed opportunity. This would have been a perfect character to have some kind of big, you know, dice pool where, because he's throwing the hammer, you know, or he's spinning it around him or something, and maybe it doesn't always hit. Whatever. Hammer throw. When attacking, you may spend 1 something to move to have Mjolnir gain +1 range, or spend 2 to have Mjolnir gain +2 range. Okay, so that's cool. For Asgard, once during your turn, you may spend 1 to move up to 2 zones, then perform 1 free Mjolnir attack in your zone. I mean, that's the exact same fucking ability as Danvers special. This is what I'm talking about. Like, what the fuck? Why can't he unleash a fucking thunderstorm or something? Or something thematic, whatever. Allfather's Might. Each time you activate, gain 1. Each one you spend to gain an extra dice on an attack grants you +2 dice instead of +1 die. Okay, again, not particularly thematic. Spider-Man's Acrobatics. How is that an attack? Okay. Web Sling. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 to move up to 2 zones, ignoring enemies. Once during each enemy phase, when the enemy in a zone of your choice within range 2 would move, you may spend 1 to prevent them from moving. Okay, web shooters, that's thematic enough. Spidey Sense. Each time an enemy spawn within range 2 before any rush, you may perform 1 free attack or move action. And that's pretty thematic too. I'll cut them some slack on that. Black Panther's got the Vibranium Claws, again, as powerful as the Hammer of Asgard. I don't think that's how it works, but that's fine. Slash Combo. When attacking with Vibranium Claws, after any rerolls for each roll of 6, roll +1 die. These dice may generate further additional dice. It's cool. It's not particularly Black Panther-y, but whatever. Combat Reflexes. Once during each enemy phase, when enemies enter your zone, you may spend 1 to immediately perform 1 free Vibranium Claws attack. I don't know why they need to call out the name of the attack, because there is no opportunity to get other attacks. But Kinetic Feedback. Each time you would suffer wounds, you may spend 1, roll 1 die for each wound on a 3+, prevent that wound, and eliminate 1 walker, runner, or brute in your zone. Okay, so that's cool. That is cool, actually. Here we've got the Extending Fists. Again, same strength as Mjolnir, forged in the heart of a dying star. I've been calling it Mjolnir. Fuck you guys. Even I make mistakes. Grab. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 to select 1 bystander or superhero within range 1 and move them into your zone, ignoring enemies. So, pull, basically. Morphogenesis. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 to perform 1 free move action or heal 1 of your wounds. Okay. Palm Smash. Before attacking, you may spend 1 to add +1 die for each enemy in the targeted zone before any other bonuses, ignoring zombie heroes for this attack. So that's got some serious potential. Scarlet Witch. Manipulate probability. After attacking, you may spend 1 to reroll all dice. Okay, that makes sense. Hex Blast. Range up to 1. 3 dice hits on 4s. Warp Reality. During your turn, you may spend 1 to select 1 zone within range 2. Replace all brutes and runners in that zone with walkers. Okay, now that is a completely unique ability. That's fucking cool. Good job, Simon. Just do that 200 more times. Restoration. Okay, she doesn't have any fucking restorative abilities. During each end phase, you may spend 1 to heal 1 wound from all superheroes in your zone. That's fucking stupid. That's not a Scarlet Witch thing. It's certainly not like a iconic Scarlet Witch thing. Mystic Bolts. 0 to 1, 2 dice, hits on 3. See, I feel like your dice pool is always going to be really small in this game, which is kind of boring, but who knows? I haven't played it yet, so. And again, like, the art is fucking amazing. Once during Precognition, once during each enemy phase, when a spawn card is drawn, you may spend 2 to discard that card and draw a new one. Okay, that's interesting. Dimensional Portal. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 to allow you or 1 superhero within range 2 to perform 1 free move action, moving +1 zone and ignoring enemies. That's cool. It seems a little limited for a dimensional portal. You should be able to portal across the entire map as far as I'm concerned, but whatever. Sorcerer Supreme. Each time you power up, you may eliminate one walker or runner within range 1. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 to perform 1 free Mystic Bolts attack. Okay. Alright, so there's some cool stuff in there and some stinkers, some lazy rehashes, and I have videos already on my channel of comparing various characters revealed during the campaign to characters from Black Plague, so you can check that out. I'm not going to bust all that stuff out and do it right now. And then we got a couple other card sets. Most of these, I think, are not all that interesting. You've got your spawn cards. You've got your bystander cards here. Now, I don't know how these work. I assume you eat them and then you get this ability. What the fuck? Oh, these must be the enemy cards for, again, if you're playing X-Men Resistance. So it is a cool campaign in the sense that they're kind of giving you 2 games. I'm really giving them a pass on calling that 2 different games because, you know, it's just 2 slightly different versions of Zombicide. But again, it is really cool to see all these named characters instead of random bystanders and shit. And we'll just look at a few of these. Yeah, so Mary Jane, if you assume eat her after attacking, you may increase hunger to reroll all dice once. Don't know what that has to do with Mary Jane. J. Jonah Jameson, like, you know, I want this stuff to be thematic to the character. That's got fucking nothing to do with Mary Jane. J. Jonah Jameson, if enemies spawn within range 2 before any rush, you may increase hunger to move 1. Blind Owl, each time you would be wounded, you may increase hunger. Betty Ross, in moving, you may increase hunger to move 1 zone. Yeah, these are just totally random. They have nothing to do with the characters. That's disappointing. Pepper Potts, Bob, Sharon Carter. There's M.A. There's Wong. After performing a melee attack, you may increase hunger to reroll any misses. Thunderbolt Ross. Once during your turn, you may increase hunger to push all enemies in your zone into an adjacent zone. Okay, that's super cool. I don't know what it has to do with Thunderbolt Ross. I don't know what these are. Secret mission cards. Okay, so you don't get to find out what those are until later. Here's your kind of I guess abomination cards for your heroes. So Thor's got 5 health. His attacks deal 2 wounds. Okay, that's cool. Spider-Man spawns in the closest zone with a zombie hero. Black Panther perform a number of actions on activation per activation equal to 1 plus the highest danger level among the zombie heroes. 2 to 5 actions. That's cool. Miss Marvel can attack zombie heroes from 3 zones away, regardless of line of sight, while still block it. She doesn't even have that ability as the fucking hero version. That's stupid. Scarlet Witch, zombie heroes in her zone must reroll all hits. Cool, messing with probability. Doctor Strange acts as a spawn point during each enemy phase because he can open portals. Okay, and then there's some. Wait, what? Okay, and so the rest of these are cards that are used in the other version of the game. Avengers Sign. Okay, so you can throw the Avengers Sign. That's cool. Kind of. I mean, it'd be cooler if there were 30 objects like that on the board. You could do all sorts of cool shit with, but. And then you've got stuff for the cards that for the game that doesn't even come in this box, which I would much rather them give you this stuff, so that you can use it with the other game. But if you're buying this, just know if you don't have X-Men Resistance, which you don't because it's not out yet, this stuff doesn't do anything. So we've got that. It's a pretty tight package. I do appreciate that. Like, Zombicide has a niche, and its niche is quick, beer and pretzels gameplay, so you don't want it to get too complicated. You don't want too many different decks floating around. That was always one of my problems with Black Plague. Not a problem, really, but they give you so many options that even just setting up in terms of which abomination you're going to face, which necromancer you're going to face, which heroes you're going to use, that even just setting the game up, it's like you got to have a binder full of that stuff, and you got to be like randomizing and all this wacky shit. All right, so here we've got zombie traits, a whole bunch of zombie traits. This is their replacement for equipment, I believe. Okay, so you got some ambush cards. You can get jumped while you're trying to get your zombie traits. This is another one of those things where it's like you have to balance. Would it be cooler if there were zombie traits for each individual zombie? Yeah, like if they were customized for certain characters, that would be cooler. It would also be way more overhead, and so maybe not worth it. But let's take a look at a couple of these. These are, I don't know, abilities you can get while you play a game. I haven't read the rulebook. Discard and suffer 1 wound during your turn. Perform 1 free action. Okay. Rotten Strength. Discard before attacking and increase hunger. Enemies suffer -1 toughness to a minimum of 1. Taunt. Discard during your turn. Select 1 zone within range 2. All enemies in that zone activate and attempt to move towards you. I don't know. Some of these are actually abilities that the heroes have, which seems fucking weird. Opportunist. Discard before attacking and increase hunger. Add +1 die results for this attack. That's just like boring as shit. Like, okay, great. It's not really exciting. Feast. Discard when performing a Devourer attack. This attack may eliminate more than 1 enemy. Target priority applies. Okay. We don't need to look at all this. And then these are just your spawn cards. And I'm not going to look at those. So that's it. That's my unboxing of the core box for Marvel Zombies. Overall, everything is high quality. It always is with CMON. That's not a concern. That's really never in question when it comes to CMON stuff. It's going to be of a certain quality. Even the cards and whatnot, they're sufficiently thick. They're not, it's like you look at something like Core Space. It's like a perfect example of a game where they, they'll cheap out on that kind of stuff, and so you'll have a card and it does very much feel like too thin. Like I have to sleeve this. Maybe Core Space isn't a great example, but there are definitely games in my collection where I've noticed that, and I've never had that problem with a CMON game, really. This stuff is always pretty high quality. And you're getting a ton of really, really cool miniatures, with a really cool theme, something different. It would have been so much easier for them to just make this Marvel Zombicide instead of Marvel Zombies. So essentially to put out the X-Men Resistance set as the main set, and to not even bother with the zombie side of things, or to just make it good guy heroes against bad guy zombie heroes.
So it is cool that they did both, and I'm especially looking forward to getting that X-Men stuff because I just love the X-Men, and I'll just be curious to see which game mode I like more. And I imagine I'll like playing as the heroes, but playing as the zombies is at least totally different, and that is something cool. So that's it. That's all I had for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you later.